Today, I'm excited to share with you how Stateless AI Fabric can support your conversational AI use case. In the industry today, there's a lot of great AI tools. However, the tools themselves, as well as the users of these tools, are spread out across multiple different cloud providers. To address this and send multi-cloud AI traffic, enterprises either use the internet or build out their own private networks. With Stateless AI Fabric, we aim to give you the simplicity and low time and resource cost of using the internet with the security and low latency that you get with a private network connection. With Stateless AI Fabric, you can seamlessly access AI services across different clouds using private cloud connections and do so in less than 5 minutes. Acme Corporation is built primarily on AWS. They use AWS storage solutions like S3, as well as run their production application infrastructure on AWS. Recently, they've decided to launch a new conversational AI feature. They've also determined that Google's Vertex AI is the best tool for the job. That leaves them with the question of how do we connect our AWS VPC to Google APIs so that we can use Vertex AI. Using Stateless AI Fabric, they could create a setup as shown in the diagram. You'll notice they have two private link service endpoints for a highly available connection, a virtual machine to interface with the connection, and an S3 gateway endpoint so that they can transfer data. While today we'll be showing a data transfer by utilizing a virtual machine, there's also opportunity to use AWS Lambda functions for serverless code, a Kubernetes cluster, and many more resources within the VPC to take advantage of the connectivity to Stateless AI Fabric. Now I will demonstrate what the process looks like for an Acme engineer who wants to connect AWS to Google Cloud. I'll click View Purchase Options here from our AWS Marketplace listing. I'm already subscribed, so I will set up my account here, sign in, and now I should be able to complete our order form for creating a new connection. If it's your first time doing this, you'll have to connect your AWS account by creating a CloudFormation template in your account that grants Stateless the necessary permissions to create the resources for your connection. I've already done that, so I'll select it from the drop down here. I'll select which VPC I want to use, and I will select two private subnets in distinct availability zones to create a highly available connection to Stateless AI Fabric. I'll select Google APIs as the service I want to connect to. And with that, that's everything that we need to create our network connection. Now that our network has reached the deployed state, I will demonstrate how to set up GCP Conversational AI. I'll start by downloading our notebook and importing it to Google Colab by clicking this upload button here, browsing, and selecting the downloaded notebook. As you work through this notebook, you'll want to run each cell. This notebook has two main parts. One is data transfer from AWS S3 to GCS over Stateless AI Fabric. The other part is using that transferred data to ground Gemini in Vertex AI. By grounding Gemini, you can generate content grounded in your own documents and data. We have a couple of prerequisites, including an existing Google Cloud project, enabling billing for your project, and several enabled APIs. We will next run our cell to authenticate the notebook and install several helper functions, including a library of open source functions from Stateless to make this notebook simpler. Now that that's done, we'll set our project ID to our GCP project. So in this case, I'm in S3 GCS transfer, so that's what I'll use. Our region, we'll leave it as US Central 1. Next, we will create our sync bucket. In this case, I will leave it named as S3 Automation Demo. If it's your first time running this notebook, you'll need to download our Service Credentials notebook and walk through that to generate credentials used to write to the Google Cloud bucket. They will also need to be uploaded to AWS Secret Manager, and you will use the name in the next step. Once that's done, we can do the transfer by downloading our CloudFormation template and running it in AWS. So here I'm in the CloudFormation console for AWS. I'll click Create a Stack, upload a template file, and upload the file that we downloaded. I'll click Next here, give our stack a name, and now start customizing the data transfer by setting our parameters. The first parameter is our GCP project, which should be the name of the project that you're running the notebook in. In my case, it's S3 GCS transfer. We'll grab our secret manager ref from the service credentials notebook. So here I have my secret in the AWS secret manager. I'll paste that in here. We'll specify the GCS bucket. So this is our sync bucket. By default, the notebook creates a bucket with the name S3 automation demo. So I'll leave that alone. Here, we're specifying that we want to do a recursive transfer. This means we'll transfer everything in the S3 bucket to GCS. So we'll leave that alone. Our GCS target path is going to be blank because we're doing a recursive transfer. We don't need to specify, but if we were doing a single file transfer, we might want to fill that in. We'll put in a key in the machine for debugging purposes. So if something goes wrong, I can get in there. We have our AMI ID, which we can leave alone, and our S3 bucket. So this is going to be the bucket that we're reading from on S3, and we're transferring over to GCS. So let's go ahead and copy that, paste it there, and then lastly, we will paste in the subnet ID and VPC ID that's connected to AI Fabric. Those can both be grabbed from the front end, so we'll get our VPC ID here. Paste it in there, and we will grab our subnet ID from the expanded view. Either one of these should be fine. We'll click next here. We can leave all the defaults alone. Click next again, and check this box here and kick off our data transfer. Now, here in a couple minutes, we should have our data transfer complete. Okay, so now our transfer is complete. We see our create complete status here, meaning that we successfully transferred data from S3 to GCS. We can run this cell here to list what's now in our Google Cloud Storage bucket. Cool, we have our guide, and now we can begin our setup for grounding the Gemini large language model. Here, we're going to be using Gemini 1.5 Pro, and we will now create our data store as well as our search engine so that we can search across that data store. So this is creating a data store, which is our source of data for our grounded LLM, an import job to import from our GCS bucket to our data store, and then a search engine that our large language model uses to search across that data store. Now we can customize our prompts to something related to our data in the data store. So I have what is stateless AI fabric and what is it used for? And then I will ask what services are supported on AI fabric. Okay, so you'll want to change these to something related to your data, and we will first run these prompts against an ungrounded model and get some subpar results here. So it doesn't really know what stateless AI fabric is, tries to derive an answer, but not really useful in our context, right? Similarly, for what services are supported on it, it doesn't really know. It's kind of just making stuff up based on IBM's version, so not really something that we want. Versus our grounded search results should be much better here. We have, a concise, clear answer of what stateless AI fabric is based on that document. And then we have our supported services, again, clear and concise answer based on our grounding source. So here you can clearly see the difference between a grounded response and an ungrounded response. It's much clearer and more relevant to the data sources. We also provide a link here if you want a better view and to see some more options of things you can mess with to change your results. We can come here, say what is AI fabric, and this is just a nice UI where it cites your data. So if you have multiple data or multiple different kinds of data, you can cite those and generate you an answer. So this is definitely a great place to start messing around with the model. You have some configuration options. try out some different models, see what you can do here. Lastly, we have an option to refresh your data. So if you ever change the data in your GCS bucket and want to try different data, you can refresh using this cell, and then some steps on cleanup. So with that, that is our data transfer from S3 to Google Cloud Storage and how you can use that transfer data to set up your conversational AI use case in Vertex AI.